Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and I happen to have my mom here today. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
She doesn't actually go by the name Mom, except unless one of her kids calls her Mom. Debbie Hopla is her name. How are you?
I'm
It's
good.
good to see you. You look
Yeah,
nice.
thank
I
you.
like the green shirt.
Yeah, it was nice seeing Jackson here, and we're
Yeah,
both in green and black. He
yeah,
liked that.
yeah. I was tickled to see him too. Dolores had just said earlier today, she's like, I miss seeing Jackson. I haven't seen my grandson in a while. And then all of a sudden, Jared walked in the door. I was like, hey, cool.
I know, right?
We get to see him now. Because he come in, he goes, hey, Gigi. I was like, all right, cool. So yeah. So a lot of fun stuff happening. We did some painting today. You got to come and visit us while we were painting.
Yeah, I got to bring your Uncle Danny over.
Strange thing is here in the podcast room, what you guys don't see on the YouTube is one side of our room is full of painting supplies, although it's minus a lot of the stuff that was in here last time I did this. I had to make some room so that we could actually get around in the room. But it's one of those labors of love type of things.
It's a process.
Yeah. So, and we've learned because, I mean, we're not young anymore. We don't tend to want to set the world on fire every day, but we still end up doing that, even though it's not a necessity. But at our age, we're like, let's just do one room at a time. Let's just take it one room at a time. So a long time ago, I know you remember this. I was starting a new job and I was having a very hard time, and I was like overwhelmed with the tasks that I had ahead of me. And you said, all right, so tell me about what you do. And I started explaining all this stuff. And you go, tell me what you do first. And I said, okay,
Right.
so first I got to do blah, 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 blah. And you're like, no, no, no. What do you do first? Like, boil it down to one thing. What's the one thing you do first? And I said, and this is what I do. And you're like, okay. So there are people in this world that eat elephants, and they don't eat the entire elephant like just, rawr. They eat one bite at a time, because if you eat it one bite at a time, you can eat the elephant. Same
Right.
is true with the tasks you have ahead of you. You can take your tasks and break them down into bite sized, manageable bits and handle the thing that's right in front of you right then. And all the other stuff can wait until
Right.
you finish with that bite.
Right.
And that's how you eat an elephant. And that's how you attack your day. And that's how you become successful.
That's right.
And you were right.
One task at a time.
And I don't know, I guess I'm an analogy learner. Like, it's easier for me to understand some things if I hear an analogy that kind of makes sense. And that one did make sense. It was the clarity that I needed to hear, because the mountain of my day did seem like an elephant.
Yeah.
The task ahead of me seemed like an elephant. So,
Well, I've used that analogy before with students because they come in asking about becoming nurse practitioners, and they're nurses and they know that they've taken already 4 years of their life to become a nurse. And they say, oh, 2 or 3 more years. I said, well, where do you want to be 5 years from now?
yeah.
Where do you find yourself 5 years from now? And if you want to be doing the same job you're doing now, then don't spend your money on school, stay where you're at. But there's so much, there's so much. And I said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time,
Yeah.
one class at a time. And believe it or not, before you can hardly blink, that education part's over with.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things that's hard to accept in the beginning, and it's hard to put into practice unless you have that mantra in your head all the time of,
Right,
don't let this overwhelm you.
right.
This too shall pass. I mean, all those things that you hear as cliches when you're younger, you're like, yeah, but I got all this stuff I got to do, man. I'm overwhelmed. And you're like, hey, you like eating? Try to eat one bite at a time.
I hear you talking sometimes about all the balls you have in the air.
Yeah.
And I was saying to someone the other day, I can't add one more ball. I've got all these balls I'm juggling,
And yet you continue to
and
add more balls all the time, right?
I do,
Right.
I do. But there comes a point where you just want to keep the balls in the air. You
Yeah.
don't want any of them dropping.
Yeah.
And some of the work that I'm doing is pretty important. So I need not to drop those balls for sure.
Well, I heard a guy one time, a pastor, talking about how we make time for the things that are important to us.
Right,
He
right.
said, for me, I can be honest, and one of my guilty pleasures is to play golf. He's like, if I have 1,000 things going on and someone says, I need you to do this too, and I'm like, I don't have any time. But if someone says, hey, how about we play some golf? Okay, I'll move some stuff around. So
It
it is
is
that.
about what's important to you. You're
Right.
right.
So, and there are elements of our busy lives where we may be in the midst of juggling all those balls and the phone rings. And if you're physically able to answer the phone, then a lot of times you make the effort and say, this is my golf. This is worthwhile for me to take this phone call. And you'll stop the conversation or you'll stop the action of whatever's going on. You say, hold on, I got to take this real quick. And you take the call.
Right.
And if you can't, then the person on the other end knows, they understand
Right.
because, either you're that kind of person or you're not. Now, granted, I'm taking myself into consideration, but it's other people are, not always the same. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, I didn't answer that phone call. I mean, just all the day long. But for me, it's, if I want to have the conversation and I'm capable, then I'm going to take the call and just ask, hey, can I have a moment? Just give me a second. I got to take this call.
Yeah, earlier today you asked me, I was on my phone while your Uncle Danny was here.
Yeah.
And you said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I really need to answer this student
Yeah.
because she just lost her aunt
Yeah.
and she's reaching out to me. And so I wanted to give her some level of comfort. And all it took was 30 seconds of my time to type her a quick message
Mm-hmm.
and to say, I'm really sorry about the loss of your aunt. But you're right. You make time for what's important.
Yeah.
You do. But in thinking about that, you know, the most important thing to me has always been my family, has always been, you're the person who made me a mom. And
I didn't have a lot to do with it. I just kind of showed up.
well, you showed up in the middle of the biggest storm that Georgia had seen with lightning and thunder and hard, hard rain. And all of a sudden, there you were. And when you were born, you looked at me and I looked at you, and your eyes were big and wide open. You weren't crying. You were like, hey, this is pretty nice out here. And the storm had quit just right after you were born.
Yeah. I've heard Granny and Granddaddy Peak talk about it. I've heard Nana and Papa talk about it. Apparently, it was quite something. It's funny how many times in life I found myself working in storms,
Yes.
and I don't know if it's the story that makes me feel comforted, but anytime it's like thundering and lightning, I go, I'll be fine.
Well, you just came through a storm.
Yeah.
I mean, you came through a big storm
Yeah.
with the loss of your sight. And
And the added element of my wife being unemployed for 7 months. I
right.
mean, yeah, I mean, in life, you weather storms, and it maybe is not the appearance of a physical storm, but it is the what's the word? It is the essence of a storm. It is everything is ramshacked, everything is out of control. You're just holding on, going, please don't let me lose everything. Like there is moments of that, and
Well, you and I had a discussion about that,
yeah,
that the Lord, that he was in the middle of a storm and he was walking on the water. And Peter, he told Peter, get out of the boat. And as long as Peter kept his eyes on the Lord, he was fine.
yep,
The moment he started looking around, that's when he started drowning. And so, when the storm is raging around you, keeping your eyes on the fact that
or I, yeah,
your eye,
one
well,
eye,
now you have two.
yeah.
You're back with two. So keeping your eyes on the Lord and keeping your eyes on the fact that,
I got
what
I got paint on my hand. Sorry.
my gosh.
I just all of a sudden touched it.
Squirrel, squirrel.
I was like, what is on my? It's green paint. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got distracted.
Yeah. But keeping your eyes on the Lord and making sure that you don't look around,
Yeah.
you know, because
Well,
the storms can overwhelm
and
you.
every day, I kept thinking about past sermons that I've heard, and people talk about pray without ceasing, and always be thankful, even in the worst situation. And I did that. Even when the accident happened and I went to the hospital, I was afraid because immediately I thought, oh no, I've sidetracked mine and my wife's life forever because this is going to mean possibly a loss of a job, a loss of an income, um, a lot of unanswered questions of what are we going to do from this point on. And it was a total accident. It was not on purpose, and it was one of those moments that was like, okay, I know I should be thankful for something. What am I thankful for? Because I have to like remind myself of what am I thankful for. I had nice people, nice staff coming to help me. I had friendly voices that were like, "Well, don't worry, we'll take care of you." And the reassuring knowledge that from the moment it happened, they were like, "Oh, we're going to do the surgery tonight. Oh, we're going to do that surgery tomorrow." Like it was two surgeries back to back. To you need this now. We're going to do this right now.
Right.
Um,
And the right
and the
people.
right people being at the right place at the right time, and the doctor saying, "Oh, this happens way more than you'd think." I went, "Oh, that's so much more refreshing than you going, wow, never seen one of these before. All right, let's give it a shot."
Yeah, you never want to be that medical thing that they go, "Ooh, isn't that interesting?"
Yeah.
Because they're
Well,
like pulling out books trying to figure out what to do next.
your brother, my uncle, was here today, Uncle
Yeah.
Danny, and he had a tumor in his brain that was like a baseball
Yeah.
growing like an octopus in all directions, and
Right.
and they went, "Wow, never seen one of these before." I thought, that's not what you want to hear.
No. No.
I mean,
And look at him. I mean, he's a walking miracle.
right. It's the power of prayer. I mean,
Yep.
he fought it, medically, and at a certain point he said, "I'm done. Like whatever
Yep.
happens, happens. I am done with this."
Right.
And we all prayed and prayed and prayed, and he got better.
He's the one who taught me to say each and every day, today's a great day.
Yeah.
You're on this side of the dirt. It's a great day.
Yeah. Here's an opportunity.
Yeah. It was so funny. It was in the hospital and the team of doctors came by, the intern, the medical students, the resident, everybody. And this guy was going on and on about his blood work and how good it was and blah, 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 blah. And your Uncle Danny looked at him and said, "Yeah, it'd be great, except for this big tumor in my head, right?" And the guy went, and he goes, "Doc, it's okay. I know I've got cancer. It's all right." And the guy just kind of slunk away,
Yeah.
but he just attacked this problem with such a force of, whatever's going to be is going to be, but I'm going to give it 100%.
Yeah.
Do everything I can do and know that everything depends on the Lord.
Yeah. And I did that. I mean, with this accident, I did that. And with Dolores losing her job, we did
Right.
that. We were and we would sit down at dinner, and I would pray, and I'd say, "Thank you for everything that you're giving us. Thank you
Yeah.
for this opportunity. Hopefully this is teaching us a lesson, something in this we're supposed to learn." And I got to understand what this lesson is.
I have a plaque on my door at work, and it says, "There's always something to be grateful for."
Mm-hmm.
Always. And I believe that
Yeah.
even in the worst circumstances, there's always something to be thankful for.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
There's 1,000 things I want to ask you, but
Go ahead.
it's not really podcasty worthy.
You can ask me whatever you want to ask me.
How
If
much?
I don't want to answer it, I'll tell you.
Okay. How much is enough money to retire?
Oh, Lord.
Is that a big enough question? Because Greg is now at the stage of his life where he's like,
Oh, yeah.
this is the money I have invested. This is what I'm looking at doing.
Yeah.
I've got some in 401k. I got my Roth going.
Right.
I'm also hedging my bets with moving money into this and that and the other. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I got 401k." And I'm like, "I need to start my Roth IRA." So I did that.
Right.
I didn't know much about it, honestly, until he started getting super engaged. He's also gotten Josh Treadaway super engaged, and now Treadaway is online all the time, trying to learn as much as he can about it. And he's like, "Thank you for kicking me in the butt and getting me to look into this. This is really fascinating." And
well, Josh Treadaway, I love you dearly, but yeah, you need to be thinking about the future.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, from where he grew up, I totally understand. There is a part of his brain that went, probably not going to make it to 30. I mean, and there's a reality to that. And I'm sure that a lot of us are that way when you're young, and especially, guys are super dangerous. They do dangerous stuff all the time. And you go, "Yeah, I'm not thinking about the future, baby. Hair's on fire. Let's go. Woo." And then you go, "Wait, is that gray hairs?" And then all of a sudden you're like, "Is that gray hair on my chest?"
Well,
like,
you and I came through a time, you and I did, where I had almost no money. I mean,
Yeah.
the first year your dad and I divorced, I made $6,000 and we lived in public housing and
I remember.
ate a lot of.
I remember the dumpster being set on fire one night, and
Yeah.
and some guy abusing his wife or woman
Oh,
or
yeah, it was
whatever,
terrible.
Oh, and you were like, just go in the other room and cover your ears. And I was like, is the dumpster on fire? You're like, yeah, we're moving soon.
Right,
I was
right.
like, we got to get out of this situation.
Right. And that's what motivated me so
Yeah.
hard, was to make sure that you had a better future.
Yeah.
But, I started doing the Dave Ramsey plan early on, before it became vogue to do Dave Ramsey.
Hmm.
And every time I paid something off, I took that money and put it on something else.
Yeah.
And then I started to make sure that I had such a diversified capital. So I've got stocks and bonds and enough cash in the bank, along with a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
I also have, I've just tried to be out of debt
Yeah.
completely. I don't buy a vehicle unless I have the money in the bank to buy it.
Right.
And you walk in and they go, "Well, how would you like to finance this?" No, I don't finance things.
The weird part is you actually get a better deal if you finance it. And then when they send you your first payment, pay it off.
That's exactly what we did with Dan's
Yeah.
pilot. They had this big deal going that they took off $4,000
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
financed. And I said, okay. And so we did it. And the first payment book came in and we paid it off completely.
Yeah. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Charles. He was a car dealer for a while, and he kind of told me some inside tips. He was like, listen, they're wanting to move units.
Yeah,
And if the unit's sitting on the lot, they'll make you a deal, even if they lose money, because they get bonuses paid on if they get to move the unit.
that's
So
right.
find the best deal that they're advertising. And trust me, they're still making a profit on whatever they're advertising.
That's
And he's right. And he's like, plus, if you go to finance, that's where they're getting their money.
right.
You may qualify for 0% because you've got stellar credit, but they're going to be like, all right, you qualified for 1.5. And you're like, okay, sounds like a good deal, right? 1.5. Well, that ends up being thousands of dollars in the long run
does.
that they're getting, that they get to split with the bank. Hey, we made this deal. We're going to split the money with you.
Well, it's like your house.
That's what helps them keeps the light on and pay their people when nothing's selling.
Right. But it's like your house. If you sell your house off in half the time, you have saved thousands and
Yeah.
thousands of dollars. And I tell you, there's a lot of freedom. I've continued to work even past retirement age, because there's a lot of freedom in the fact I don't owe anybody.
Right.
And if I decide tomorrow, well, I'm done,
Mhm.
well, guess what? I have that freedom to do that.
See, I'm trying to learn from you and Dad. Dad's already retired.
Yeah.
Um,
Dan's retired.
Dan's retired.
Patricia retired.
Trish is 71 or 72. She retired a few years earlier than Dad. But I love the story of him going to work and sitting in the car and thinking, I got to work for another year. And he said he sat in the car for 30 minutes, and then his boss came out, you okay? He's like, yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm retiring. And she was like, yeah, I got your paperwork in for next year. He goes, no, I think today. I think this is it. He goes, can I go home and ask my wife if we can afford it? And she's like, yeah, I guess. He said he drove home, and Trish was like, what are you doing here? He goes, can we afford to be retire? And she was like, yes. And he goes, what am I doing going to work? She goes, I don't know. And he's like, oh, yes, I'm done.
Yeah.
And it is that question of, you want to keep working because you want to feel useful. You want to have a task. There's a lot of motivation in the fact that you have things to do. You're required to do things. You're dependent on to do things. It gives you motivation. And I understand all of that. But also financially, there is that question of, if I stop this rat race, is this going to be enough? Like, I have drivers that work with me, and some of them are making six figures and they work hard for their money. But I'm like, okay, but your body, how long can your body keep this up? Like,
Well, see, that's where the difference is. I love what I do. I
Yeah.
love it. And I've made a big difference here in South Carolina for nurse practitioners. And I love being able to affect the future of nurses. I look forward to being able to be there, because I'd be a professional student if I could, because I like learning. Every single day I learn
would you
something
take
new.
statistics again?
Oh, dear God. Oh,
For
dear
For
God.
those who don't know, my mom
Hated statistics.
graduated as a
Hated.
nurse and kept going back to school and having to retake statistics over and over
Well,
and over. How many
higher
times did you take it?
higher and higher level. First, I took it in a BSN program. Then I took it in a MSN program. Then I took it at a doctoral level. And I said, okay, God, if I get through this, I will never do this class again. But the funny thing is, I teach research now.
Yeah.
But I teach people how to read research.
Mhm.
I don't actually have to do the stats. I have a PhD friend of mine when I do research that she does the stats.
Oh, cool.
So I'm like, I make enough money, I can pay her to do the
Right.
stats.
Right.
So I can understand it,
You're like, I'm just
but
going to hand this off right here.
I know. I know. To me, that is not my strong suit. My strong suit is doing presentations, being active legislatively, being up at the state house and going forth with bills and things like that.
Right.
And, being an advocate for nursing.
Yeah.
That's my strong suit.
Well, and a lot of people don't know that all of that started because as a nurse, a doctor once told you, what do you know? You're just a nurse. How many people out there listening to this need some motivation in their life? Now, you think about your daily life, you think about the things that
Ah,
you do, and maybe you do it well. And then someone comes along and says, well, what do you know? You're just a fill in the blank, whatever it is. You're just a woman, you're just a nurse, you're just a worker, whatever it is they call you. That motivation was like, oh, yeah, well, watch me. Like,
well, you said one time you were actually in the hospital. You were at Parkway Hospital in Austell. And you said, Mom, the doctor only comes in here for a couple minutes a day, but the nurses are always here.
mhm.
Mom, why don't you make the money that a doctor makes? And I said, Son, you are wise beyond your years because it's the truth. People go to hospitals for the nursing care. They don't go there
Yeah.
for the most part, for the care they get
Mhm.
from physicians, unless it's a surgery that they really need.
Like an eyeball.
Like an eyeball for
Right.
sure.
Right.
That was definitely out of my league for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Um, that was yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I think during that time when I was young, I was in the hospital for something. I forget what.
You had a bad asthma attack.
Wasn't it my white blood cells got
Well, you were
high or low or something?
got high. You had a bacterial infection in your
Yeah.
lungs, and the asthma put you at a different risk level. And
Which I learned later in life it was because I was hanging around people who smoked all the time.
not me.
Don't smoke near your kids, by the way.
Not me. Yeah,
My
your nana.
your mom, my nana,
Oh
I
my
loved her to
gosh.
death, but she smoked like a chain smoker, and
Yeah. Well, and it
and
eventually took her life.
Dave
Yeah.
smoked,
Dave smoked.
and it's
Yeah.
just
But
as a
your
kid,
dad didn't smoke. Your granny and granddaddy didn't smoke.
you're just not, your lungs aren't prepared to handle that,
No.
and when you're around it
No.
all the time, you cough, especially
Yeah.
as a kid,
Yeah.
and so we didn't know anything back then. I
That's
mean,
right.
there was a time where doctors prescribed smoking so it would keep the birth weight of the baby down.
Gosh, they used to smoke. They used to smoke in the
Yeah.
hospital. They'd
I
come
mean,
around smoking.
when I flew when I was 12, and there was the now you can smoke sign would come on, and
I
everybody
know.
would light up at 40,000 feet.
Oh my
How
Lord.
safe is that?
Yeah, right?
It's funny part now is when we take flights in 2021 and you get some of those old planes that still has that sign.
I know.
You're like, how old is this plane? Holy cow, I can't believe we're still up in the air. And they're like, what? I'm like, this got a no smoking sign.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that people can't smoke in
Yeah.
restaurants anymore.
Me too.
I mean, it just makes life so much better and you can breathe better for sure.
Well, and also, vaping
Oh,
is obnoxious. I mean,
well, it's mainlining all that nicotinic acid and
right.
everything.
And I've heard, I listen to podcasts and I listen to Dr. Drew talk about,
Right.
if you're telling me your choices are cigarettes or vaping, I would rather you vape, but I would rather it be something that's only nicotine. Because nicotine medically is like caffeine. It's not great for you, but by itself it's okay. It's all the other crap they put in cigarettes that's really bad for you.
So much.
And he said the problem with vaping is a lot of times the stuff you're buying, you don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
It's not really regulated like it should be. And he said, so that part of it is dangerous. He's like, but if you're telling me there's a choice between cigarettes or vaping, I'm going to say vape. To me, that's better.
And now with the research that's come out, with this weird lung thing that happens in a lot of young people, I think he might change his mind.
Yeah.
Because even now we know
well, he's like
more.
He's like, I definitely would not recommend it if you're like under 16.
Oh,
because it's just horrible.
well.
But it is good that there are advocates out there that have a voice and an audience that can hear that kind of stuff and say, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I should read this label of the thing I'm putting in me.
When
like
we were
energy drinks. I mean,
oh, I know. When we were in England, the cigarette packs over there have a skull and crossbone on them.
Yeah.
And says this will cause your death.
Yeah. It should.
Like, oh my God.
They should.
Yeah, but I know. And in South Carolina, just trying to get the tobacco tax raised
Yeah.
was an act of Congress because for many, many years, farmers around here, that's how they made their living was growing tobacco. But
Yeah.
it's hard, you're hard pressed to find tobacco fields anymore.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's cotton or corn or wheat that they're growing. So I'm really
You and
glad.
Dan both overpronounced the H. Wheat. Wheat. Would you like
Wheat.
some wheat thins?
Wheat.
It's,
Well, I grew
what
up.
are you doing?
I grew up around Chicago. This
I
is how
know.
I say it. Wheat.
Cheryl, you got to meet Cheryl.
Yes.
She's from Chicago.
Yes.
She went to Purdue.
I love it.
Yeah. She's yeah. We couldn't have painted this stupid house without Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl, by the way, if you're watching this.
Yeah, I told her that she told me that I could be her new mom.
Yeah, sure.
So
I'm sure she'll take you. Trust me. We were just talking about the fact that, when her mom passed away, how hard that was and stuff. We were just discussing that in the living room. And yeah.
when you're talking about being mom,
Yeah.
I think about your buddies. I think about Josh Treadaway. I think about Rodney that spent a summer with us. I think about Greg. Oh my gosh, Greg, I'm so proud of you. You've gone on to not only be a nurse practitioner, but to be a specialist
and a rock singer. You didn't
hear rock singer.
You didn't hear his podcast. He's like, I'm a rock singer, and he is a rock singer.
Oh my gosh, he's got such a great voice. He truly does. He's got a gift.
It's amazing because when we were growing up, we'd sing a lot together, and I was thinking, yeah, I don't know, there's something to this. He's got something extra. There's something a little extra here. And then he just kept doing it. Like at a certain point, I thought it would just fall away like it did for me. But he was like, no, I'm doing a band. And I was like, okay.
Well, and he does that band. I mean, he's got such great talent.
Not to mention his obsession with Animal Crossing. He sent me the...
He's got you addicted. You need to stop.
Listen. It helped me out. It was a nice thing to have me distracted from my injury, and it gave me a task. But it's
distracting him from his podcast.
It is distracting him from his podcast,
and his podcast is well done. I love listening about all the different music and genre and his insight with medicine and things like that.
It's actually a little bit hard to find online. If you type in 5 and 40, you have to type in 5 and 40 podcast with Greg Steele or by Greg Steele.
Right.
It's STEELE. It'll come up. It's a neat little logo that he designed himself.
But he was doing such a great job for a while, and then all of a sudden it was like crickets, nothing. And I said, "What's going on? Why aren't you podcasting?" And then Animal Crossing came up.
Yeah, he actually came to visit me, and we spent the first day. We had 2 televisions right here, and we were both playing it. And
oh my word!
And we actually did a video on YouTube where we got to stream the content of us playing online.
That's funny.
And people write me going, "You guys are nuts."
I know, right?
Because at one time Greg was trying to fish in the game and he couldn't catch anything. He goes, "I am the worst fisherman ever." And I was like, that's going to be the headline. That's what I'm going to call this video. Greg is the worst fisherman in Animal Crossing.
But he has so many other talents, truly.
He does. He really does.
And you have a great voice. We got the opportunity to hear you sing the national anthem.
Well,
before a hockey game. Yeah. And so I'm just saying.
I think I did that about 10 times at the hockey rink at here in Florence.
It was wonderful.
And then I did it at the local drag strip when Shirley Muldowney came to visit. She posted a 314 mile an hour quarter mile. It was amazing.
Wow.
I've seen drag cars before. I mean, obviously growing up, with Bobby, and Dave wanting to go out and see Bobby race. We would go out there and see him. Nothing that close though. I mean, she's a top field dragster, Hall of Fame legend, Shirley Muldowney. And man, when those trees lit up, I could feel like my fillings in my teeth going, what's going on? Like everything in me shook. My spine was like separate from my body. And it was like, I was like, wow. Because in an instant, it's just from here to gone. And I was like, that is impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where I had an opportunity and I took it. And but like anything else, you get busy and things get sidetracked and you go in different directions.
Right.
It's the sliding doors of life. If there's such a thing as a multiverse out there, there's a version of me out there rocking out with Greg, and we're in some kind of weird duo band, maybe like John Holt, Hall & Oates, One of us has a crazy mustache and curly hair. Probably him because he has curly hair. But anyway, I'd have the mullet, whatever. Some pleather pants. It's all good.
Yeah.
So earlier today, you'll get a kick out of this. we're painting, and Dolores is streaming some music, and Hall and Oates comes on with the, um, oh, I just had it. What's the song? No, I can't go for that. I just lost it. There was something about he would do whatever, but I just can't do that or whatever. And I was like, do you think that's the lyric? Kind of like Meatloaf, where he's like, I would do anything for love, but I wouldn't do that. And I was like, what is the thing that they wouldn't do? And I was like, it's got to be something really kinky. And my wife goes, or maybe she wants him to like kill an ex boyfriend or girlfriend. And I was like, oh, that's messed up. I was like, it's weird that your brain went there. And she was like, what? And I said, I can tell we've been hanging out a lot together because I got a weird dark sense of humor. And you just like you had that one in chambered and you were like, boom. And I was like, oh, okay, that was great.
Yeah, maybe she's been considering that.
Yeah. I was like, what are you thinking there, sweetheart? She's so funny sometimes. We painting this house has been an adventure.
Yeah.
It has been a learning experience in a lot of ways, and also um, an interesting budget situation. So, coronavirus, out of work, disability, that kind of stuff, and then we get a stimulus check, and it was like, okay, well, I mean, I know this isn't free money. I know this is coming out of our taxes, and we're going to pay it back. But we're in a unique opportunity where she's going back to work and I'm going back to work, and it was like, here's some home improvement things we've been putting off for a really long time. And so we kind of just jumped on that grenade and said, let's do it ourselves as much as we can. Let's start off with a room and see how it goes. And really, that was the test subject.
Yeah.
If it went bad, then we were just going to have that room done, and that was it.
Yeah.
But it went really well, and it was like, all right, what else can we do? The answer is everything. So
Yeah. One room at a time. How do you eat an elephant?
there was one night she sat in the kitchen and she says, there's only two things I want to do to this house left. And I went, is this like a genie going, I wish I could ask for more wishes. Okay, first wish, more wishes. Second wish, live forever. I mean, she's like, no. I want her to redo the kitchen. I like this cabinet. I like this thing lower, like some different cabinets and some different tile. And I was like, okay, backsplash. I was like, oh, yeah, I get you. I understand. And she's like, I want to redo our bathroom. I want like a walk-in shower, like a really nice walk-in shower. And I was like, okay, I can see that. But also, it's not just two. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Your brain's always going, I could also do this. I mean,
And one thing always leads to another.
Yep.
I don't care what it is.
It's like mold or caulking. Like you go to caulk something, and suddenly you're looking at every crack in the house, and you're like, why don't I caulk that too? And you're like, holy crap, does this house need caulking all over? And then next thing you know, you're caulking the entire house. Or mold in the shower. You start to peel one thing away, and you're like, there's more here? And you just start ripping stuff out. And all of a sudden, you're just like, okay, this is going to be a project.
Or pulling the weeds out of your flower garden.
Or pulling the weeds out of the garden. Yeah. You pull a couple, and you're like, that should do it. And you're like, holy crap, where did those come from? And,
I know.
Next thing you know, 3 hours later, you're like, I think I got some of it. Yeah.
It never ends.
Oh.
So what questions did you have on your little group of questions?
None.
You told me earlier you had a bunch of questions.
I had no questions. This is a conversation. It can be about anything. So, are ghosts real? How about that? Is that a question?
Are ghosts real?
Are ghosts real? Do you think ghosts are real?
I think spirits are real.
I think spirits are real too. I think that often when we need them, they show up.
Well, the scripture says we have entertained angels unaware.
Yeah.
And I honestly do believe that there are things that have happened that I can't explain, that, I felt like I had this guardian angel looking after me for sure. And there have been times I have felt just this oneness that I do believe in spirits. I do believe that the Lord sends help when you need it.
Yeah.
And that he sends angels when you need it.
Well, I mean, I believe in ghosts just as much as I believe in aliens or the multiverse or any of that stuff. And, my answer is always, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well,
I don't know that much. Like, my perception of life is so limited. Who's to say it's not real?
It's kind of funny to hear you talk about aliens because, the Mormon church believes that there are worlds without end, that there are lots of different worlds. And on those worlds are lots of different people and different types of people. And So it was interesting for you to say that you believed in aliens because I think that that could be true.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is we perceive aliens as something different than us, right?
Maybe,
Typically,
but they could be like Star Trek.
it could be like Star Trek.
They could just be going time changes and time warps.
They could be something that we don't physically see.
That's possible.
I was listening to a podcast one time where a guy says, I've always wondered, what are ideas? Like when you have an idea or an inspiration, what if that idea is an alien? What if it has a symbiotic relationship with you that it just gets tuned into people who are receptive?
well,
And that idea is the alien.
it's
It's a
like it's
possibility.
like sometimes I can go to sleep and I'm thinking about a problem I've been trying to figure out.
Hmm.
And sometime in the middle of the night, I'll sit straight up in bed and I've got the answer,
Right.
you know?
Well, they say that your subconscious is actually your brain trying to figure out survival mode. It is sort of the reason that humans have been able to live through generations of craziness going on with the world and developing change and invaders coming into your area and you trying to overcome malaria and everything else. It is that need of survival that you're constantly trying to figure out, how do I survive? So your subconscious thinks of all of the terrible things that can happen to you and what you would do to respond whenever that happens.
Yeah.
And your response, you say, that was my gut reaction. It wasn't really your gut. It was your brain thinking, how am I going to survive if this happens?
Or have you lived it before?
Or have you lived it before? Have you
And
lived
this
multiple
is
lives?
where it's coming back to
Yeah,
help you perfect what you need to be doing.
right. You and I talked one time about, I wonder if there is such a thing as a multiverse. Is it possible that we're all living our own versions of the multiverse and that it's just repeating in examples that we get to observe so that we get to, they say everybody's made in God's image. Um, what if it's God reliving his life as people in different scenarios so that he gets to know every angle of pain, sorrow, love, joy, happiness, struggle, strife, success, all of the elements that make life so precious. We talk about how life is precious because of the gifts that we're given, but also life is precious because of the struggles that we're given. We
Hmm.
don't appreciate the
Right.
gifts until we struggle.
Well, and you don't appreciate the struggle till years later and you look back at it and go, wow, I learned a lot from that.
Right.
You know?
I mean, a scar, if anything else, is just a sign that, hey, I know how to avoid this now.
Right.
Right.
Well, sometimes.
Unless you're a slow learner. And then
Sometimes you're like the children of Israel, you keep wandering in the desert and then you're like, okay, I really wish I'd have learned that the first time. My prayer is always, Lord, make me a fast learner.
if
Make me a fast learner. I want to learn this lesson so
if
I don't go through this again.
if you're a slow learner, don't skydive.
That's
That's that one's free. I just gave that away. If you guys are listening.
Yeah, I don't plan to jump out of a very good airplane for no reason, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so your subconscious works all the time. You're trying to survive. Here's the crazy thing that I heard one time that totally makes sense is that your brain does not populate people in your dreams until you meet those people. So every person that you have in your dream is a person that you've met. You can't just physically make up something that you haven't seen. Every person is someone you've encountered. And this guy said, I had a dream about my mother. And then my mother, in my dream, I said something that made my mom really mad. And he said, so I woke up and I called her and I said, I'm sorry I said that in my dream. And she goes, what are you talking about? And he said, I said some things in my dream and I feel really bad about it. And she goes, I didn't have that dream. You had that dream. And he goes, then it dawned on me. In this dream, I populated it with her. I had this conversation with her. And I know she feels bad because I feel bad that I said it. He goes, I'm my mother in this dream. I am every character in my dream. Every person that does something. If I have a dream that something's chasing me, it's me chasing me.
Hmm.
If I have a dream that I'm being hurt by something, it's me hurting me. If I have a dream that I'm hurting something, it's me hurting it. I am that thing also. I am every part of my dream. So why am I getting worried about my dreams? Why am I? And he goes, it's one of those moments where you go, okay, so at what point in my dream can I go, why is this? Why am I dreaming this?
Right.
Let me turn the tables. Let me then think, what's the best part of this dream? And let me see if I can tap into that. And ever since he said that, I've not had a single bad dream.
Well, sometimes years ago, I used to write down all my dreams. I used to keep a pad by the bed, and the moment I woke up, I'd write down things that I could remember right then.
Hmm.
And I can tell you that I started looking at some of the things I was dreaming, and some of those things were, how do I get out of here? How do I make this future happen? But one time I had this, so it's still so vivid in my head. Your Nana had been dead for several years. And I dreamed that I was on a cruise ship. At that point, I'd never been on a cruise ship in my life. And I was on a cruise ship and I turned and there she was. And she was young and beautiful, had bright red hair again. And I ran to her. And the weird part in the dream was I could smell her, her unique odor. And I said, "Oh, mom, I miss you every day." And she looked at me and she said, "I know you do, but you're going to be fine." And I woke up and I was crying. And Dan said, "Well, I'm sorry you had that dream." And I said, "No, I love the fact she was young,
Hmm.
she was healthy, and she was fine." And it gave me comfort. It
Yeah.
gave me a lot of comfort to know that she was okay.
I've had a not to change the subject any, but it's sort of on the same path. I've had a reoccurring Granddaddy Peaks presence,
Really?
and it happened this past not this past week, but the week before. So I've mentioned this before on the podcast. I think I told Dad on the podcast. We got talking about ghosts and ghost experiences and stuff like that, and ghost stories. And so he passed away on your birthday,
He did.
um,
He did.
a long time ago, and I was working for the company I'm with now, driving to Charleston on a regular basis. And one particular morning after that, I was thinking about him a lot. I was thinking
Yeah.
about the lessons that he taught me, some of the wisdom of just how to treat people, how to approach every stranger and say, "Hello, neighbor,"
Yeah.
because he said he believed you're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
"Hello, neighbor." Help people when you can. He gave selflessly all the time. And
I called him Papa Dragon. You know why I called him Papa Dragon? Because he was so different than a
he
dragon.
was different than
He was,
everybody.
he was the kindest,
Yeah.
most honest man I think I've ever known in my life. And I loved him dearly.
Did you hear Dad's story about how he took him to a wrestling match and he saw that the bad guy was tucking something into his drawers and he was going to hit him with it, and Granddaddy saw it and he jumped in the ring and took it from him?
Let me tell you, that's just like your papa.
Yeah.
Your papa did
Yeah.
the same thing, except he threw a spit cup at the guy
Yeah.
and got thrown out of the arena. So both of them cut from the same cloth of you're not going to take advantage of
Right.
somebody.
Right. There is a sense of right and wrong, and I don't know. I'm the guy that's going to stand in between this.
The bad thing about your papa is he had taken your cousins,
Yeah.
Shannon and Matthew and Angel, with him, and they were still in the arena, and he got thrown out by a couple of bouncers. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But sometimes your granddaddy, you're right. I see in the things that you create, see him manifesting himself in you.
Well, and I got some of his tools, and there's something about because he worked with those tools so much. There's some essence of him that comes off in it, and I know a lot of people are like, this is hogwash. Listen, there's some essence that comes off on it sometimes when I'm using
Right.
those tools, and I can almost hear him going, "You're doing good. Keep at it."
Yeah.
Even when
Yeah.
I mess up,
Yeah.
he's like, "Don't worry about it. It'll be
Yeah.
fine." I
Yeah.
hear this comforting kind of voice. I was thinking about this, one time when I'm driving down to Charleston, and I know there was a period of time there where I was delusional and sleepy all the time, and DOT really didn't regulate drivers. They were just like, "Good luck." I mean,
Yeah. It's pretty scary.
and all of a sudden, driving down there, a light, I have a cab light above my head. It turned on, and my headlights turned on bright, and my wipers started going. And I didn't do any of that stuff. I had my hands on the wheel. I was like, "What just happened?" And I was thinking about him so much. I was like, "Granddaddy?" I was like, is that you?" And I looked at my lights, and they weren't on bright.
Wow.
I had to move them to bright and then move them off to get them to turn off. and I turned the wipers off. They weren't even switched on; they were just on. I had to turn them on and then turn them off to get them off. And the light above my head I had to turn off. And I can't tell if it's just a button. It's not. It
Right.
doesn't tell you one way or the
Right.
other. But I was like, that is really weird. And I was like, maybe it's electrical. Maybe I'm imagining this because I'm manifesting it in my brain and whatever. And I kept a track of the number of the truck I drove that day. And I was like, all right, I'll know that if this ever happens again, it's this truck. I mean, it's got to be something electrical. It's not Granddaddy. I'm crazy. Went down, worked my day. A couple weeks later, I'm having the same thought for some reason. He just pops in my head, and I'm sort of hearing his voice going, "Just keep at it. There's better things ahead." And then the same thing happens. The light comes on above my head. The bright lights come on. The wipers, and I'm like,
Wow.
"This has got to be the same truck." I'm looking at paperwork. I'm like, "What truck am I in? Is that the? That's not. This is a different truck." And I'm like, "This is not even the same year truck."
Right.
I could see if it was the same year truck. Maybe there was a
Right.
faulty wiring system in that year truck. Different truck completely.
Yeah.
This happened 2 more times over the next year with different trucks,
Yeah.
completely different trucks. I told this story to a guy a year after that. I was riding in the passenger seat. We were talking about our ghost stories, and I told
Yeah.
him this story. And then
Right.
when I told him about it, the light cut on above my head and his wipers cut on. He goes, "I'm getting out of this." He pulled the truck over. He's like, "No, you drive by yourself, man. I'm standing on the side of the road." I go, "It's okay, man. It's okay." I was like, "That was really freaky that it happened with somebody watching." And he goes, "This is weird." I was like, "I know it's weird. It's totally weird. It doesn't make any sense." I said, "But if it's Granddaddy, cool.
Right.
I'm good."
Because he's looking after you.
So 2 weeks ago, I'm with a guy in Colombia, and I'm telling him this story, and the light cut on above my head. And the guy goes, "You family voodoo?" I was like,
No.
"No."
No.
He's like, "That's really weird, man."
I
He's like,
know. You know, I'm grateful that your granny and granddaddy are together again
yeah,
because they loved each other so very much
yeah,
and such wonderful people. I got to remain a part of their lives even after your dad and I split up, and I just loved them.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
And your
were
granny, good heavens, she could cook. Oh my gosh, she made the best biscuits.
her one of her best qualities, and also her worst quality was her idea of perfection and cleanliness, which you appreciate when you go, "Wow, this place is spotless." But also when you're the person that's helping clean, you're like, "Stop it."
Well,
My wife has small elements of that. We were
right.
putting stuff back today, and she goes, "Wait, I gotta wipe that off." And Cheryl and I are like holding a TV, and she's like, "We love you. We really love. Hey, thank you for wiping this off." And I told her, I said, "Granny Peak would just love this right now. She would just eat you up."
When I was newly married to your dad, and your granny used to come in the house, and she would rub her hand across the top of something and then do like this and go, "Hmm." I felt so inadequate. Number 1, I was so young, and number 2, her house was so pristine,
Yeah.
and there was no way to keep a house like she kept.
But with that was a lot of judgment. I mean,
Well,
it was what it was. I don't know how Granddaddy got as much work done as he did with her constantly fussing at him about, being dirty. Because I mean, I watched him build houses from nothing, and
right,
some
right.
part in there, she had to be like, "Can you just change out in the garage?" I mean, just undress outside, please don't come. Like,
No,
because that's kind of what my wife does now.
I
She's like, "Don't
know.
step in here, just do that in the garage." And I'm like,
So I'm gonna tell you a story I probably have never ever told you ever. Your granny and granddaddy came when you were graduating from high school. Remember that?
"Yeah,
And we went out to breakfast with
yeah,
them. Well, back then I was still pretty insecure about the fact I could never measure up for her.
right."
And I had a couple Bloody Marys before we went to breakfast, and it was the best time I've ever had with your granny because I quite honestly didn't care
Yeah,
what she said
yeah,
because she had a way of saying some things that you just go, "How
yeah.
did you mean that?"
They were super biting, And I was having this discussion earlier with Dolores and Cheryl. I was like, there are elements of all of us that are really pleasant, and there are all
Right,
elements of all of us that are really unpleasant.
right,
And for as
And so, what's the one thing I've told you over and over again? Just because it goes across your brain doesn't mean it has to come out your mouth.
I get that from your mother. So you have your mother to thank for that. Your mom actually taught me that it was funny sometimes to say the thing
But
nobody wants to hear.
she would try to get you guys to cuss and say outrageous things. I mean, she
And
would pay you to
yeah,
say dirty words.
yeah,
And I'm like, Mom, you've got to quit. And she would. She'd say, oh, and then she'd just laugh and laugh. She'd put you guys up to the worst stuff.
yeah.
And then she would laugh.
But it is that moment that it is that gift of, you know, she's lived a hard life, and
Right.
here's the moments that I think are hysterical, and I'm going to teach my
Oh,
grandkids this hysterical thing
you know,
because I think it's funny. And she was right. It was funny, and
well,
it's
and
still funny.
she loved a good joke.
Yeah.
She would call me up and she would be laughing the whole time she's telling the joke before the punchline. And sometimes it would be hysterical. And sometimes it's like, what?
Yeah.
But she found humor in places where people would have struggled
Yeah.
truly in their
Well,
lives.
and I mean, you look at her life and the struggle that she had. I mean, with both of her parents dying
Right.
young and her and her siblings having to go to work and drop out of school and just
Yeah.
provide.
Yeah.
It was a hard life immediately, and it was a lot of hard life. And sometimes you find the hard parts funny.
But she was so smart. She could look at something in the store, go home and make it.
Yeah.
She could quilt, and she made all of her grandchildren quilts. She could knit afghans and crochet and whatever it was.
Yep.
She loved doing that kind of stuff and loved feeding her family. She was a good cook. I mean, her cornbread was amazing. And I still think that even though she didn't have a lot of that college knowledge, man, she had such street knowledge about how to manage things and how to do better with her life.
I know you're a professor, and what you teach is very, very important, but there are a lot of college degrees out there that are worthless.
Right.
I mean, they are really
Right.
wasting their education. Right now,
Yeah, like archaeology. What?
if you're getting an education and you don't see a financial future in it for you, like it's not needed in the world, go get a CDL. We need drivers
Right.
everywhere right now.
Well, it's
There's such a demand for drivers right now that gas prices are going up because they don't have enough
right.
guys to drive the tankers to get gas to gas stations. They're having to pay extra money just to keep gas coming.
Well, I do
Food
teach at a
prices are going up.
I do teach at a college level, but I'm telling you, we need electricians, we need plumbers,
Yep.
we need construction workers, we need those people with CDL license like you're talking about, people that aren't afraid of hard work,
Yeah.
that'll work in the warehouse. I mean, your warehouse is paying $20 an
To
hour
start. That's
to
starting pay.
start.
There's bonuses all across the board.
I know. Welders.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's all kinds of occupations people can do.
Yeah.
And I made really good money working as a waitress.
And there's not a single restaurant that I go to that doesn't have a
Right.
now hiring sign.
Right. McDonald's had a sign up that says they'll pay you $250 as a incentive bonus if you will work for X number of months.
If you come off of I-95 at our exit on the northbound side,
Yeah.
there is a billboard to the right that says Domino's starting off $20 an hour
Whoa.
because they're in such a need for people to come
There's
in
a
and work.
sign up at the donut place.
Krispy Kreme?
No, the other one. Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts and Wendy's. The sign on the marquee says apply and start today.
Yeah.
Start today.
Yeah. Well, Redbone Alley
Oh my gosh.
closed down one day because they said, sorry, we don't have enough staff.
I
We can't
know.
open today.
And that guy's amazing.
Yeah.
He's been there for years and years and years, but he can't keep the wait staff.
Yeah.
People, that's why you don't feed the wildlife,
Yeah.
because they become dependent on it.
Right.
And when people just take all this money to sit at home, I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Because when you can feel good about what you're doing and the fact that you make a difference, like what you do.
Yeah.
The fact that you ensure those drivers are safe, the fact that those drivers get those produce
and it's
to
not
stores.
It's not only that. I mean, because you're delivering food to restaurants and schools and churches and nursing
Right.
homes and all of that stuff. the bigger part of it is it's the Jesus method. It's the give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for life. I am trying to teach men to fish all day, every day. And
Right.
I've trained probably 300 people in the last 4 years. Um,
You
and
know,
most of those people don't stick with it. They go, wow, this is really hard work. And they
yeah.
quit. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's hard work. It also pays really well and you can provide for your families. And, if you follow the Dave Ramsey plan, you can change your financial tree for your family forever.
Forever.
Um,
Yeah.
but they're oblivious. They're just like, yeah, but this is hard.
Okay, so
Oh, this is hard.
one of the things I do with students is I give them 2 extra points if they can tell me the name of the custodians in our building. I give them 2 extra points. I have never had one student, not one, tell me their names. And I know their names because they are just as important as everything I do.
Yeah.
Because without them, there wouldn't be any toilet paper on the toilet paper roll. There wouldn't be any, paper towels to wash your hands or soap. And
They
let me tell
sanitize
you,
everything you touch.
they sanitize everything. I took your Uncle Danny down there today to show him the Carter Center. And he said, you can smell the bleach. I said, that's Melissa and Daryl. That's the two of them that make this building
You
shine.
just gave it away to people that your students are listening. They're like,
Oh, well,
we got
no.
it now. She just told us. We don't actually have to meet those people. Thank God.
Oh, but that's the thing. When you meet them and you
Allegedly,
know
it's
them.
Melissa and Daryl. It might be Kevin and Sarah.
Well, the last place that I worked at, it was actually Cheryl, and we called her Little Bit. Little Bit went by Little Bit, and she was she was like Dolores, just tiny little thing. But I've never had one student be able to come up with the names of the custodians.
Yeah.
And you know what? People are important.
Yeah.
No matter what their job, they show up every single day and make me able to do my job.
There is a large population in America of illegal immigrants. A lot of Mexican workers who work hard in restaurants all over the place. You'd be amazed at the restaurants that you go in. I mean, like really high end Japanese restaurants.
Right.
No Japanese people in the back. It's all Mexicans.
Well,
Italian restaurants.
Hispanics.
Right. The Italian restaurants. Hispanics in the back. Working hard, showing up, working hard all the time.
Right.
And I've asked more than hundreds of them, hey, you ever thought about getting a CDL? I can't. I don't have a license for this country.
Right. Well, for school.
I would love for them to drive a truck because as hard as they work, here's a financial opportunity.
Right. But they can't get health care.
No.
They can't get loans for school. They have to provide cash up front to be able to do any of that.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing in our country when we have people that are here
willing to work
and work hard.
Yeah.
And yet we can't provide an easy method for them to become part of this country.
And meanwhile, I'm in the rat race. I'm in that circle and I'm thinking, I know at some point I physically can't do this. So again, back to the first question. How much is enough to retire? I mean, I know I should probably have a financial advisor on here to go, you actually want this percentage of your actual income and think about it because you can actually withdraw this much from this and that and the other and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so I have actually sat down with a financial advisor and we looked at...
Would he do the podcast?
Probably for a price.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
That's a consulting fee.
He might
a tax write-off. It's a tax write-off.
He might do it for me because we have a lot of money with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looked at how we spend, which is so conservative.
Right.
He looked at what our lifestyle is.
Well, it was conservative. Now Dan's retired and he figured out Amazon.
Oh dear God. I get all these notices of, you've just ordered this spinning reel. You've just ordered this lure. I'm like, what the heck?
Why are we getting all this fishing gear? Oh, I just needed it. So I bought the button.
I know. He just pushes the button.
Yeah.
And the other day, okay, so you'll appreciate this. We have in our backyard a boat with an ecosystem in it, with a brand new motor, never been turned on, in a trailer that is sinking into the ground because it's been there so many years.
The tree growing in it is probably weighing it down.
The tree, well, now it's got more than a tree. It's got a whole ecosystem in it. We have a John boat.
Yeah.
We have a pontoon. We have his big boat that he takes out occasionally. And he says to me the other day, I'm going to buy this boat 17-foot boat because it's going to be a better fishing boat than the boats we have. And I'm just looking at him thinking,
Sell one of these at
you
least. Get rid of
have
one of these.
lost your mind. I've already put you guys on notice.
Uh,
If he croaks, you guys are coming over. We're
no.
getting dumpsters. Stuff is flying out of that house. I'm just telling you. But when you needed stuff,
Yeah.
he had it,
I
right?
know. I know.
Right? I told him you had a planer because he's looking at buying a planer. And I said, Josh has got a planer.
Tell him, well, when you talk to him, tell him to come use it to see if he likes it because it's an older planer, and I noticed that
I'm not going to tell him that
it
because he'll
bites
go
on one
buy
end.
one.
Oh.
He just, your Uncle Danny's going home with a bandsaw and he just bought another bandsaw from
Yeah.
somebody in the neighborhood. Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that's
Got
fair.
a 2.5 car garage. Can't get in it because it's got so much stuff in it. So if you need a tool, I can guarantee you he probably has it.
I like the fact that Dan sent me a photo of the wrenches that he bought going to pawn shops, and there's like 60 Snap-on wrenches that he's bought at pawn shops, and he's like, "What am I doing with all these?" And I was like, "I don't know. What are you doing with all those?" He's like, "I finally organized them. I didn't realize I had this many." I was like, "Every time I saw you, you had a new one you were showing me." But it wasn't new. He'd find them at the pawn shops that people didn't know what they had, and they were selling it really cheap. And he was like,
would get them for almost nothing. Yeah. And some of those rusty wrenches and stuff, and he would sand on them and sand on them. Those bar stools that we used down at the lake, he found those bar stools for like $25 a piece, and they were rusty around the bottom and paint was cracking. He redid those things, and then somebody offered me $300 a piece for them. I was like, no, I think I'm going to keep them for a while. So, but he likes repurposing things. He likes taking things and repurposing them, which I like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't like this throwaway society where you just take stuff and just dump it.
Yeah, I don't either. I do take a lot of pride in these tables. I mean,
they're beautiful.
I needed them. It was very generous of Greg's mom to give me the first two pieces to kind of inspire me, and I think a little part of her was really tickled that I did something with it. I mean, inspiration always comes from strange places, but they say imitation is the best form of flattery. And after seeing what she had done, I was like, I got to do this. Greg
Donna's amazing.
Greg was with me the first day, and he's like, what's into you? And I was like, I can't explain it. There's some DNA part of me that's like, must fix, must sand, must, and I was like, I can't explain it.
But
it's a compulsion.
You look at the wood,
yeah,
and your brain starts processing of what does that wood want to be,
right?
And then all of a sudden you make it happen.
Well, Danny McWilliams came by to do the podcast to promote his Sonderlings podcast.
Yeah.
Also, check out Troika, as I call it, Truck Butter. Check out his Sonderlings podcast. It's very cool. He's a very creative guy. We were out in the garage looking at that cedar stump that I have that I turned upside down and cleaned up and put some polyurethane on. And I was like, I've been looking at the thing for years and I don't know what it's going to be. And he was like, I don't know. There's all kinds of things it could be. And all of a sudden I went, I got to learn to carve. And he goes, what? I go, I didn't say that. I'm crazy. I didn't say that. He goes, what were you thinking? I go, doesn't this look like a face if you could just take this part out? He goes, holy crap. He's like, did I just watch your brain explode into some new avenue? And I'm like, I think so. I said, Dolores is going to be pissed. Because I'm going to get so much cedar dust everywhere. But all of a sudden I could just see it.
Right.
And I was like, is this an alien?
No.
Did I just have an alien inhabit my brain and go, you know what you could build?
Things can talk to you and tell you what it needs to be.
I guess, but not everybody. Not everybody has this. Whatever. Listen, if ideas are aliens, I am a receptor. I am. There is smoke coming in my ears, and it's like, you can do this, and I'm like, okay.
Hey, that big stump I have out front,
yeah.
Huge, and it's got like mushrooms growing on it.
Yeah.
Well, your Uncle Danny took one look at it and he said, solar lights. You need to stick those solar lights in the center. And at night, it'll light this whole thing up. And I went,
oh, that looks pretty.
That's so cool. Yeah, you're right. I need to stick solar lights in it.
It'll be pretty.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick some solar lights in the center of it.
That's smart. I got some of those solar lights from Amazon, and I stuck them around the house, and all my neighbors think that they're security cameras.
I know.
So because I've noticed, like, when I come home late at night or leave in the mornings, when I go to drive off, all over my house, depending upon where my truck is, they light up. And I was like, that's a really good, safe thing to
Yeah.
have.
Well, we put those motion lights in the front of our house because of the snakes.
Yeah.
I was coming in late at night and we were having copperheads on the porch and you couldn't see because we live out in the middle of the country. And so now we have all these motion lights. Well, thank goodness I have a darkening, drapes in that bedroom because your Uncle Danny went, that light comes on? I said, yeah, it just takes a lizard to run by and the lights go poof and they come on. But it's really nice coming up because it'll be pitch black. And the moment I start walking up, the lights come on like a security thing.
We have a weird habitat going on in our backyard of wild cats that live
Oh dear.
back here. And they keep all the snakes away.
Yeah.
But they do like to hang out on the back porch at night. So the lights will light up. And my wife actually had me put the Ring door cam on the back just so she can look at it.
Jeez.
She can look at it and she can go, look, it's a cat. And she goes, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. And they run away. Because it's got the voice thing on it. They're like, what is that? They're like, they'll take off,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, we can't have cats because we have those dogs. We have
Right.
2 lab dogs and they think cats are something to eat or chase. And,
Yeah.
a
That's
poor little bunny rabbit got in the backyard one time, a wild bunny, bad decision making.
last day for Bunny. Poor Bunny.
Poor bunny. Yeah, he chose poorly.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. But the snakes where I live, because I have a swamp behind my house, the snakes are real. I like seeing the black racers because they keep the copperheads down.
Mhm.
And I like seeing the red-bellied water snakes because they're harmless. But man, the copperheads freak me out, truly.
Yeah, my wife has a policy. If it slithers, it needs to die.
I know. She came over one time and there was a little bitty tiny lizard that was running along the sidewalk and she was screaming and yelling and it was a lizard.
Yeah.
It was a little bitty tiny thing. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't freak me out, but the copperheads definitely freak me out.
Yeah. Lizard,
know.
anything snake-like or any bug, she's like, nope, it's got to go now. We got
Well,
to take care of it right now.
And you don't like the bees we keep in the backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, we started out with one hive. Well,
Oh, believe me, I've taken him to get more supplies
oh
for the
my
bees.
gosh. We have 6 hives at the farm and we have now 6 hives at the house.
Yeah.
And he is always like catching more bees and, making more hives. And yeah, him and his buddy love it.
Well, I told him, I got my eye appointment on Tuesday. I'm getting my last stitch out.
Oh, yeah.
I told him, I was like, I got to be there at 8:05 in the morning. So I need to leave here around, I don't know, 6:30ish, 6:15. I said, do you want to go? He's like, let me think about it. I said, well, the last couple times we've gone, we've needed to go by the bee place too. I just figure if you want to ride, you can, but it'll just be a little bit early. He goes, can we talk about it Monday? I was like, sure. He's like, I don't know. Let me think about it.
He's going to go. I'll bet you he's going to go if he's not fishing because he leaves the house at 5 in the morning to go fishing.
They were talking, him and my doctor were talking last time when they were taking the stitch out because he took one out on the inside of the eye.
Yeah.
This one's on the outside of the eye. And he was saying that the type of stitch it is, it's like as fine as a hair.
Right.
He goes, it is so tiny.
He uses loops when he takes it out. Yeah.
He's like, this thing is so tiny. And he said, yeah, there's times where it comes out and it'll just be floating around in your head and it'll dissolve eventually, or you'll flick it out. You don't even think about it. But yeah.
Yeah, but Dan has loved going because he does go by the bee place. And then I hear it on good record, the 2 of you stop by Dairy Queen.
Sometimes you get parched while you're out riding around and you need a chocolate shake to make you feel better.
Or a blizzard.
No, chocolate shake.
Chocolate shake.
That's his go-to.
Yeah, yeah.
When he had his thing at the hospital, and I drove him home. Every time we go home, I said, "You want anything on the way home?" He's like, "Really go for a chocolate shake." I said, "You got a place you like it the most?" He goes, "Sunday House." I go, "Okay."
Well, they make the best.
Let's go to Sunday House.
Yeah, they have the best chocolate shakes ever.
We've done that a few times. But yeah, the Wendy's. There's a Wendy's on the way back that we stop at to get to use the bathroom and get a chocolate shake. So that's our little thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I if he's not fishing, I can guarantee you he'll be going with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I told him, I was like, if you want to get something to eat, we can stop somewhere. He's like, no, let's get on back. I was like, all right, cool.
Well, thank goodness he retired when he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, for him and everybody. I mean,
Well, yeah.
but I mean, he's at that point now where I think mentally he's accepted that he's retired, and I think he's like, okay, now I just need Debbie to retire so we can do stuff. We want to go do stuff. What are we going to do? I
Yeah.
don't know what we want to
During the
do.
middle of a pandemic, we're not doing
I don't
much
know
of
what we want to do.
anything, you know.
But it's still that it is sort of that idea of there's another adventure. Like Dad was talking about. He
Right.
said, we're not dead.
Right.
I want things to look forward to.
Right.
So they're selling the house in Maine.
Right.
They're moving to Georgia full time.
Which makes a lot more
They're
sense.
selling off a bunch of cars.
Yeah.
Trish was like, I'm going to go buy a new 4Runner. I mean, she's like, I'm selling that one and I'm buying this 4Runner. And we're going to get a pop-up camper. We're going to sell this RV and we're going to get a pop-up camper. And we're going to visit this guy and we're going to go do this. And he's like, if you're not looking forward to things, what are you doing this for?
I know,
and I
right?
said, you're exactly right. You're
Right?
exactly right. You got to look forward to something, which is why which is why my wife is constantly like, let's go to Disney. Let's go take this vacation.
Right.
When I met her, like, she was like, what do you do for vacation? And I was like, usually I got to take it off because the kids are sick. And she goes, well, we're changing that. I was like, okay. She goes, you got to have something to look forward to.
When I met Dan, I said, when we got married, I said, well, when are we taking vacation? He said, well, I've never taken a vacation. I said, well, you're taking a vacation. And so we took a vacation. The next year he said to me, I said to him, so where are we going on vacation? And he said, we just took a vacation last year. I said, you're taking a vacation this year.
Yeah.
And then we got into going down to Kiowa with the family and he loved that. He loved being able to have everybody down there. And so this year he said, so when are you taking vacation?
Yeah.
Because
it's something to look forward to.
It's something to look forward to. Right. It definitely is.
Our friend Cheryl just got back from a trip and she was showing us pictures and I was like, that looks like a cool place to go. She's like, we're going next year. You guys want to go?
Where'd she go?
St. Lucia.
Oh, yeah.
There's a sandals resort there.
Yeah.
And she was like, you guys want to go? I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could skip Disney next year and go to St. Lucia. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to Greenville to help take care of Michelle for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I actually have a trip planned with Joanne's coming down from Tennessee. Mary Jean and Sue are going, and I'll be driving. We'll be going to Hendersonville.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
The apple orchards.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, if you've never had a chance to go to Hendersonville, North Carolina, it is like the apple orchard place to go.
It is.
And man, it smells so good.
Well, the nice thing is we'll have the four of us together, and these are girls that I went to college with and have been friends with, lifelong friends. We used to go everywhere together. And so we're all going to be together. We rented a house. Everybody's got their own bedroom, and
Perfect.
They've already decided Joanne sleeps in the farthest part because she snores so bad. So
yeah,
but
Greg and I've tried to take trips like that. Like we'll book a house and we'll find something we like, and it's like, why not get this thing? I took him to go see Bert Kreischer, and we had front row center seats to see Bert, and he was just like, I can't believe we're in the front. And I was like, all it takes is money.
That's right.
You got money? I got money.
That's right. Work hard, you get money.
Yeah.
You can do stuff.
You worked, you earned it. Just book the thing you want to do.
I know.
So he reached out to me last year before the pandemic, and he's like, the Black Crowes are doing a reunion tour.
Whoa.
And they're going to be in Atlanta, and it's just their first album they're going to play.
Oh my God.
You want to go? And I said, yes. He goes, good, because I just bought tickets. He goes, I felt like you'd say yes, but I just bought tickets, so we're going. And I was like, okay. And then the pandemic happened, and he was like, all right, that's on hold. Well, now it's back up.
Oh,
and it's going to be, I think, July 4th weekend.
Wow.
So we're going to plan something.
That's great.
And go see that. And that's going to be really cool.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, it's great to have lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And
also, it is that moment where you get to sort of share in the success of your hard work.
Yeah.
And everybody's story, everybody's sense of humor. Everybody has sort of their role in the plan, and sometimes the role is, let's just, like I was telling him one time, I said, there's a lot of people that I can do things with. I was like, you're kind of the one person I could just do nothing with, and I am
Right.
perfectly happy doing
Right.
absolutely nothing. I heard that once on Winnie the Pooh
Right.
because Pooh Bear told Christopher Robin, "There's a lot of things you can do," in his voice. But you're the one person I could do nothing with, and it's
Right.
absolutely perfect. And I was like, "You're that guy. You're my buddy like that." I mean, there's times I've gone over to his house and just sat on the couch and just breathe. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about him. It's just it's I don't know.
Well, when Joanne still lived here in Florence, I'd go to her house and we'd just sit on our porch.
Yeah,
We just watch the squirrels, we'd watch the birds, we just hung out together. Alex used to call her Julianne. Julianne. Um, but we've been friends forever. And with Joanne and Sue and Mary Jean. Sue's the cool one. She's the one that always rode motorcycles and always was doing stuff that just kind of took your breath away. Um, and then Mary Jean's the kind of the one that never met a stranger ever. If she sat next to you on a plane, by the time she got off, she knew everything about your history, everything about their history, their grandparents. you know, she never met a stranger ever. And I find myself when I'm on these weekends things with them, I laugh so hard that my face hurts when
yeah,
I come back. And I feel like my soul has been refreshed,
yeah.
because they know my past, they know everything
Well,
about me.
and it's also the environment where you don't have to prove anything to anybody.
No,
You just
no,
get you just get to kind of hang and be yourself
yeah,
and enjoy it and just like, what do you guys want to do?
yeah,
It's you get, especially being a professor, you get to take off the professor hat and be like, I ain't gotta teach anybody.
no,
I could,
we,
I ain't gotta be mom. I ain't gotta be wife. I ain't gotta be
no,
any of these things.
no,
I could just be Debbie
that's it.
and enjoy myself and
That's
let's
it.
go have fun.
And we go play putt-putt golf.
Yeah.
And for years we would go down to Myrtle Beach
Hmm.
and to what's called the Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
Well, we had
I love the Dragon's Lair.
we I know it's so fun. We had a little cup made for the winner.
Yeah.
Every year we'd pass that cup along to whoever won. Well, Joanne's never won, but we all have shared that cup.
She's not
And
listening. It's okay.
and one year, even if she is, she'll like it. But one year we're at dinner and the cup is fixing to pass from me to Mary Jean. And I looked at it and I said, y'all, this does not say Dragon's Lair. It says Dragon's Liar.
It had been misspelled.
All these years we'd been passing that cup around. Nobody bothered to read it, that it said
Funny.
winner of Dragon's Liar.
That's great.
So
That's awesome.
we thought that was hysterical. And Mary Jean still has the cup. She won the last time we were together. But Sue tells me she's been practicing, so we'll see. The bad thing is, all of us have had joint replacements, all of us except Joanne. And Joanne had breast cancer, had to have chemo and radiation and all that stuff. So we're like, all of us are put together with spit and vinegar. And yet we have this goal of beating each other at putt-putt golf.
To win the Dragon's Liar tournament. I am the official Dragon's Liar cup holder.
Hey, it's more than that. The person who wins actually gets the primo room with the bathroom. So whenever we hang out together. So there's like a lot at stake on this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Real cutthroat.
Joanne one time got down on her all fours and was trying to use it like a pool stick to get it into the hole.
Goodness.
Funny, funny, funny.
That's funny. I feel like we've done a good time. This is
All right.
an hour and 22. Ooh.
Whoa.
Whoa. Time flies when you're having fun.
I know, right?
Anything you want to promote? Mother's Day coming up?
Promote. Well, your birthday's the day after Mother's Day.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Old guy.
Okay, so
you were talking earlier about
every day's a gift from God.
you were talking earlier about Granny Peak and feeling nervous and all this stuff at my graduation. So I'm 20 years younger than you.
Yep.
And that would have put you at 36? No, 38. Yeah, I graduated 18, 38. That's right. So
37.
whatever.
67.
No,
I'm 67.
I was 18.
Yeah, I'm 67.
So 38.
Okay, 38.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had this conversation with a guy yesterday, young guy. He was 26 years old.
Okay.
He was talking about how he's trying to live up to his dad's expectations and all this other stuff. And I said, there is a moment in your life where you go, I don't care anymore. He goes, no, there's not. I said,
Yeah.
actually, there is.
There is.
There's a moment where you go, listen, I got enough crap to deal with. I don't care anymore. And
Right.
you find yourself still instilling all of the things that you've learned, and you don't necessarily go against them, but also you're chasing your own thing. There is a moment where you go, but I believe in this passionately enough that I don't it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. This is
Right.
what I want to do. This is what I feel like I have to do.
Right.
And you know, there's a lot of people that are still stuck in that all of their life. They never come to that realization.
Well, too many people worry about how do I look? You know,
Yes.
it's like nobody really gives a rat's
Nobody
ass.
cares.
And 10 years from now, what will it matter?
I got at the grocery
Right?
store today. I was paying for my groceries, and I had my, you got to wear your mask
Yeah.
at the grocery store. So I look like this for everybody watching on YouTube. And the woman behind the counter goes, "You look a lot like Lindsay Graham," and I was like,
Oh dear.
"What?
Oh dear.
Does he normally wear Star Wars shirts and shop at the local food line?" I'd never heard that before. It's like, well, when I was younger, people said I looked like Charlie Sheen, but I guess now that I'm old and fat, I look like Lindsey Graham. I was like,
You do not look like Lindsay
I said,
Graham.
"Is that a compliment?" And she was like, "I don't know." I was like,
Listen,
"Okay."
other than your nose, you look so much like your dad.
I was like,
You
"Okay,
truly do.
whatever."
You look like your dad.
Listen, but there are moments where in our own lives, in our own skin, we look in the mirror and we go, "Who is that person looking at me? That person does not look like I remember me looking."
I know.
It happens quickly. My neighbor, Paul,
Yeah,
he is turning 79.
right.
He and I had a long conversation the other night, and he said, "I'm starting to lose hair that I thought I would keep." And he goes, "And I look in the mirror now, and I'm like, how did I get so old?" And he's like, but I gotta think, I am healthy. He was in a horrible accident at work one time, and it chewed up his arm. He had to have like 14 surgeries to
Wow.
reconstruct his arm, and he lost parts of his fingers, and you know he was like, I still though, even with all of that, I look in the mirror and I'm like, God, this happened really quickly. It's like I was not prepared.
Well, when Clough, Dan's dad, when he was in his 80s, okay, he said to me, he said, this happened in a blink,
Yeah,
and I'm 80.
yeah.
And then he was 90 when he passed away. But he said, it happens in a blink. And he's right. And, life is so precious that every day you make the most of it. Every
Well,
day.
and I'm a grandparent, and I still
Right.
dress like I'm in high school. I'm looking at myself in the camera right now, and I got the Millennium Falcon T-shirt on, and I'm like, Granddaddy Peak used to wear slacks all the time, and an undershirt, and a button-up shirt, and even on his day off, like he never just wore a T-shirt. And I'm like, I'm a grandfather. Like
There's nothing wrong with that.
I
You
know,
know?
but this is but it's also like moments where you go, yeah, but I don't care.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
And
Nobody
and
cares.
honestly, a lot of that comes from your mother.
Right. Nobody cares.
Who cares?
Who cares? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It truly doesn't matter in the scheme of things. What matters is being honest, being hardworking,
Hmm.
you know, being the kind of person that you can look in the mirror and go, yeah, I treated people well, you know?
Well, and also it's the Frankenstein analogy of here's the monster that also likes the pretty flower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing that I don't expect to be the shining example of what I want,
Right.
but it is.
Well, and hopefully along the way of life that you learn lessons and you think back and you go, man, I'm never going to be doing that stuff again.
Well, and
I'm never going to live my life that way again.
if you can be that example, then if other people are watching, they then look at other examples and go, maybe I shouldn't judge the book by its cover. Maybe I shouldn't judge this person because of the color of their skin or the fact that they don't speak English very
Right.
well.
Right.
Maybe I should ask more questions. Maybe I should listen more.
Maybe you should get to know somebody.
Maybe you should have empathy.
Maybe you should know the cleaning people that work in your office.
Sometimes all you got to do is say, "Hi, my name is Josh.
Yeah.
What's your name?"
Yeah. It's just friends you haven't made yet.
Yeah.
That's what I try to look at.
That's my
When I do big presentations, I look sometimes at crowds, and sometimes there's like 500 people there. And I look at them and I think that's just somebody I don't know yet.
that's my go-to. Whenever we get out of the truck,
Yeah,
I'll have a new guy, and I go, all right, grab your invoices. Let's go in and make a new friend.
that's right.
And they always look at me and go, what did you just say? I said, let's go in and make a new friend.
That's right.
Introduce yourself.
That's right. And everybody's fighting a battle. Everybody. I
Mhm.
don't care who you are, you've got a battle. Their battle may not be your battle, but everybody's got a battle that they
I
fight.
mean, I'm not Elon Musk trying to get to Mars, but I would like a
I
Tesla.
think
I mean,
if
I'm just saying,
anybody
shout out, Elon. Hi. Love you. You're my favorite alien.
I think if anybody ever gets to Mars, it'll be
He's
Elon.
going it's going to happen just cuz he wants it to. Like it's just that he is that much of a force of power
Right. But you know how he got there?
cuz he didn't say no.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. There you go.
One bite at a time.
That's our tagline for this.
One bite at a time. How do you move forward? One bite at a time. You do it. Every day you
That's
get
going to
up
be the
and
title
do
of this
it.
episode.
Yeah.
Boom.
I
Nailed
like
it.
that.
I like it.
I like that.
You want to promote something?
Well, I've got a new bill, a new Senate bill.
Or are you just a bill on sitting on Capitol Hill?
It's still on Capitol Hill. It's going to sit there until next year, and I'm hoping next year it'll get through, but it's Senate Bill 712 that creates a loan forgiveness program for people that are in medical school, PA school, or MP school. And what it'll do for South Carolina is it will help defray the cost of going to school and becoming a great healthcare provider for the people of South Carolina. South Carolina is only one of 8 states that doesn't have this loan forgiveness bill. In the state of Georgia, when I went through my nursing program, I got a grant and I had to pay that grant back by working in an underserved area, and I did. And so without that grant, I could have never gotten through school. And here in South Carolina, we have people take on such a financial burden just to become a healthcare provider. And I want to have the state be a little bit of accountable with that and have those people stay here, that they get educated here, have them stay here. So, what better way to do it than through a loan forgiveness program?
What better way, she says.
What better? What?
Dan's from Oklahoma, you're from Chicago.
Yeah, yeah.
I can kind of see the what. I can see what's what in all this.
What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc? The weird thing is that in grammar school, they used to call me Doc. They called me Doc.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And now everybody calls me Dr.
I wonder how you got
Hopla.
that in grammar school. That's weird.
I know. But that's my promotion for my new Senate bill.
Well, good.
Working on it. Not there yet.
So stay in touch, and you guys will hear more about it probably. So, I mean, if this is your environment, if this is your world.
And this coming week is Nurses Week. So nurses are heroes. In this pandemic, if nothing else, it's shown that nurses are needed, because without good nurses, man, you don't get good care.
Yeah.
So that's my promotion, and happy birthday coming up.
Yeah. 47.
You're just a whippersnapper.
Yeah. I'm hoping this is halfway point. I mean, there's still a lot I want to do.
I know, it's the balls.
Right.
Sorry. Genetically, just lots of balls.
Listen, it comes from both ends.
I know.
You know.
I know.
What else got to do? Oh, I can learn that too. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you. You want to say cue the cow?
Cue the cow, baby.
So I want you guys to give me more likes.